What's going on? Raven Ritual 666 back from the dead with some more Diablo 4 content. Today I want to talk about, has Sorc been completely nerfed going into Season 8? Well, at the first look from the update we've got from Blizzard regards to the changes to the Season 8 boss powers, absolutely. Almost every build that Sorc ran in the PTR has been incredibly nerfed because of one boss power. Now, was it too strong? Was it bad for the game? Well, we'll dissect that in a little bit. But at first glimpse, before we get the Diablo 4 developer campfire chat, which is coming tomorrow at 11 AM PDT, let's have a look at some of these implications this is having on Sorcerer. Now, if any of you have followed some of the Season 8 PTR builds, you'll notice that Andariel's Flaming Skull has been unbelievably huge to the damage that it's outputting, right? So here, Andariel's Flaming Skull, it's a boss power coming to Season 8, and almost every Sorcerer build used it. The cool thing about this was, it didn't matter if you were running Ice Shards, it didn't matter if you were running Blizzard, Meteors, if you wanted to run an Arclash build, it would still be viable endgame, as long as you could use any core skill from Fireball through to Charge Bolts to Chain Lightning, and use another boss power. When you equip this in the modifier slot, not only do burning enemies take 40% more damage from your damage over time effects, but this second part was massive. For 5 seconds after activating your main boss power, all your other attacks burn enemies for 1200% damage over 3 seconds. That is a massive multiplier that sorcerers don't have. Now, the cool thing about this boss power was, as a sorcerer, we have about 4 really good aspects, from Engulfing Flames and further, through to our Paragon board from like Flame Feeder, Burning Instinct, that we can scale a lot of burning damage over time. Now, damage over time hasn't been good or S tier for a season, but going into Season 8, it felt like we finally had the season of dot damage as a sorcerer. I was actually excited about it. I'm not big on dot builds, but to see how we could play almost any variant of Sorcerer, scale some really good damage, destroy the endgame as one, I was excited. But this has been gutted. Absolutely gutted. So I'll show you why. So having a look here. This is the update that Blizzard put out today. And looking at Andariel's Flaming Skull, we expected it to get nerfed. Like, it was probably doing too much damage. It was doing trillions. However, when we look at it in the modifier slot, enemies take 10.5% more damage from your damage over time effects. Okay, we can buff that up 20 levels. It'll probably get to 40%. Hold on. What happened to the second line of this effect? Is it still going to be there for Season 8? Is it not? Because when I'm looking here, we have, for 5 seconds after activating your main boss power, all your other attacks burn enemies. That seems to be gone from the patch note that we've got. Guys, I'm Raven Ritual 666. Please subscribe to the channel. I've got some really good early build guides coming out and some endgame builds coming out later this season. I'm partnered with Mobalytics and an official Diablo partner. But there's a lot more I want to get into first. Before we're concerned about the state of Sorcerer for Season 8, because we do have our campfire chat, we could get some potential buffs. I'll talk through some of what we need to see based on some of the other friends of mine, the community reaction, plus some of my own personal opinion. But yeah, let's have a look here, right? So this is Andariel's Flaming Skull. Just blasting through bit 95. I didn't even equip 2 really strong aspects that would have actually buffed that further. I did a little bit later on. I could probably get a 105 done with Fireball, but it's not Fireball that does the damage. I was trying to run a Fireball direct damage build here, my 100 billion damage Fireball from Season 7, but the truth is, you just want to scale Burn Dot. So that becomes one of the cons of having Andariel's Flaming Skull for Season 8. Now, if we have that, what you're going to see is almost every build the same. You're all going to run the same enchantments. You're going to pretty much run the same Paragon board. You're going to run almost the same aspects. The only difference is swapping out a core skill or a mastery skill. The same tempers. pretty much the same masterworking. So you're going to get this one-sided Sorc, but every build is kind of good. Because once you use your combustion key passive and you get the 600% extra damage to burning, and it doesn't matter what's applying burning, your boss power is applying burning. You could use ice shards, you could use blizzard. I've got some other clips later to show you that. So you take that away and alright, you might get a little bit more build diversity coming to Sorc for Season 8. But I want to show you here. What happens if you take away this boss power? I clipped this in the PTR, right? I was like, I'm going to take away Andariels, use all my other boss powers, just see how much damage we do. We went from a pit 100 to a pit 105, down to pit 75. Yes, I didn't have perfect triple GA gear, but we know that double GA gear is going to be harder for us to find, especially with the boss mats now. It's going to be harder this season to get this gear. Now, I like that. I love that the change to T1 to T4 is going to be more difficult, more of a grind. I enjoy a bit more of a push. But look at this. Like, I mean, 75. We are barely keeping up with the timer right now. This is kind of disgusting. So, we don't even know if this from Fireball will be nerfed or not. So, watch this space. I'll have more videos coming out before, so don't forget to like and subscribe. But let's take a look at some of the other builds. Everything was running. Like, ice shards. Here we go. Shout out to my friend Roxy. She's an amazing content creator. Link will be in the description below. Ice shards. Haha. It's Andariels. Of course it is. Because ice shards in itself was only doing like a 75 to 85 tops. The damage was absolutely pathetic. So what are we going to hope to see? Well, if you're going to take away Andariels, Sorc needs some massive buffs. And I'm talking some massive buffs. Core skills need to be massively elevated. Mastery skills need to be massively elevated. I was talking to some other friends in the community, and we talk around that, you know, Rogue gets a massive amount of vulnerability scaling from a lot of their skills. The only scaling that Sorc really has is from one aspect, which is the splintering aspect for Lightning Spear. So what we will see is Lightning Spear is probably going to be the top build again, because as long as you can continually scale critical strike damage, as long as you can scale vulnerable damage which interact, Lightning Spear splintering aspect will continue to scale off your crit. So the more crit you have, the more damage you have, the more you multiply that by your vulnerable, and if you can overpower, hopefully the snapshotting is fixed and we get an update. If not, then we're going to see Lightning Spear again rise to the top. And it's because of one aspect. You look at something like Blizzard, which requires ice spikes, right? You need to have glacial aspect. You need to have frozen tundra. You need to put a little bit of vulnerable on where you can. Now your ultimate, even with deep freeze, caps at 200%. We saw that try to take advantage of things from Season 7. We just get capped. Our hands are tied as a sorcerer. The reason we've been good for so many seasons, unfortunately, is because sorcerer brains are big, right? You know, we're high damage, super squishy, but we find ways to kind of break the game to do damage. So here's Hydra. Hydra hasn't had a turn at the top for a long time, and this is my friend Immortalized, so big shout out to Immortalized, by the way. Give him a follow, again, links in the description. Morty is my Hydra friend, Hydra god, and he was so excited to come into this season because Hydra lacks the ability to do area of effect damage. It does no splash. But once all your skills are applying this big burning dot damage, look at him, clearing a pit 102 like an absolute Chad. So, it doesn't matter what build you ran, I was actually looking forward to the season of dot. Here we go again. Back to Meteor. Meteor was able to do pit 100 pretty comfortably using Andariels. Lurkin here, again, link will be in the description for all these guys. Lurkin goes, alright, I'm going to take off Andariel's Flaming Skull. Let's see how high we run. 75. A 75. So Sorcs will get up to 110, 120 in the PTR. Only because of Andariels. Now I really hope there's still that secondary effect to apply burning, that we can use it through combustion in our Paragon board. But I mean, do the pros outweigh the cons? All I know is Sorc has been massively nerfed. Like, massively. And I really hope that Blizzard have listened to a lot of community feedback, which they do all the time. Like, a massive shout out to Blizzard for hearing the fans and hearing the people. But I hope Sorc gets some huge buffs to our base skills, because a lot of our bugged interactions hopefully will be fixed now, and we're not going to compete with other classes. We're not going to compete. I mean, look at this. 1.4 million. That's barely a billion damage there. Come on, what's Meteor hitting for? Nothing. Nothing. Like, that is a very big difference to hitting trillions of damage over time. So, let's even take a look. Lightning Spear, which can already infinitely scale from big damage. Makuna here. Again, link will be in the description. To all these guys from the PTR. Some good friends of mine. And look at this. Pit 110, comfortably. Again, scaling the Andariel Flaming Skull. Yes, it probably needs to be nerfed. It was probably too strong, because it made every build good. But, I mean, if you taketh away, you also need to giveth. So, yeah, you can see 110 just smoking things down. I think when we looked at, from friends testing, Sorc was maybe able to get to like a pet 95? I mean, I might be stretching maybe even a 90 on Lightning Spear with 0 boss powers. Yeah, we'll find some interactions. I guess that's going to work when we're all not pushing into one. But, yeah, it's just, I have some concerns. The one thing I'm very happy about going to Season 8 is we finally have an awesome collaboration with Berserk the anime. All you Berserk and anime fans out there, drop a like, comment below. What are your favorite skins? But I want to show you one thing. I mean, Sorc got no love going into this patch. But look at this. Alright, cool. You're going to get some skins. Oh, I was so excited to get some Sorc skins. Barb. Awesome. Two-handed Berserk sword. Oh, that's cool. The Hawk of Like Rogue. I mean, that's kind of cool. That's pretty good. Second one. The Struggler. I think I've seen rogues with worse skins, so, okay. Necromancer. Okay, that Necromancer. Look how badass that skin is. It almost makes me want to play Necro. Alright, come on. Show me the Sorc skin. Schnoz, pet bundle. Okay. Blizzard, take my money. I want any cool pet that you got. Warhorse. Cool. Super cool. Twitch drops. Let's go. Again, follow me on Twitch, by the way. I stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. If you want to get those drops, because you want to get this absolutely free, Diablo partner. Hold on. Wait a minute. We just got nerfed as a sorcerer. Where's my skin? Hold on. Did I miss something? Barb skin. Rogue skin. Rogue skin. So 2 rogue skins. 1 necro skin. What about a druid? No druid skin. Okay. Spiritborn? I don't know what's going on, guys. I don't know what's going on. But there is one more thing I did want to showcase. Because I've got to have a couple of leveling builds coming out, especially after the patch notes, right? Fingers crossed. With the campfire chat coming out in the next, 36 hours, we're going to see some love for our sorcerer. We know it's one of the most popular classes. I'm really holding on to hope. I think they're going to have to give us something more if they're going to take away this massive power spike. Yes, we'll be able to get the T4, but we're not going to compete with other classes. This, to me, was very interesting, because I actually used Ashava's main boss power, the Poison Breath, while I was leveling. So, when I was leveling, anytime you hit an enemy by a damage over time effect, you were doing about 450% poison damage. And 10% more poisoning for each 1% of the target's current life affected by damage over time. I use that as the main, not as a modifier. Not too bad as a modifier. The base modifier is 45%. So, yeah. We saw poison builds hitting for hundreds of trillions of damage in the PTR. Now, mind you, Sorc was maybe doing 15, 20, 25 trillion. I think I could have scaled my fireball to 10 to 12 trillion per dot tick. But we saw hundreds of trillions. I really hope that those interactions have been nerfed, and we don't go into another season where Bloodwave is king, or Spiritborn's that broken, and this kind of concerns me. Because I leveled with Ashava's Poison Breath, As a sorcerer, I can't scale poison damage at all. However, this is really strong. While leveling, if I can get 1200% poison damage over 4 seconds, and I'm scaling damage over time on all my leveling gear, look at this. I leveled with this, it did more damage than my firewall as a fire sorc. Like, how much you look here? I mean, mind you, I do yell a little bit, like, and I kind of felt my sorc was farting, so don't hold it against me.
Oh, he farted for us, that's good.
Oh, he farted behind him! Look at that! It was a fun boss power.
This boss power is just gas, man. Look at that! Just farting!
It's a fart sorc,
Fart so
alright?
much.
You give me a skill that kind of lets out a little stink of gas, like right there, look at that! Okay. So, I mean, to take it back, guys, I'm excited for Season 8. I'm very excited for this campfire chat, but has Sorc been nerfed? At the first glance, massively. Like, massively. I mean, almost 10,000%. Well, that's a bit of a guess, but like 10,000% of our damage has been nerfed. When you look at the incremental and the exponential scaling going to the pits coming to this season, like what, pit 110 to 120 were being completed, you take away that boss power, we're struggling at 75 or 80. I really hope we get some awesome interactions that are going to make some difference to this season. Let me know in the comments what you think. Again, please, if you made it this far in the video, please like, subscribe. I do think some of the poison builds might be eating good now. Let's see what comes out of the campfire chat, because we've always got hope. And again, we've got the coolest collaboration ever with the anime Berserk. I mean, I'm getting some skins. I say, Blizzard, take my money. I don't care. I'm going to buy some skins. I don't give a rat's bottom about it, because, man, I want to look cool in the game. I will see you all in Season 8, but yeah, let me know your thoughts.